Bezos was hacked after he received a WhatsApp message from the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. The Telegraph also has that story alleging that after the hacking incident, the Crown Prince hinted to Mr. Bezos that he knew about his affair. The Financial Times leads with a rift in trade relations between the UK and the US after the Chancellor Sajid Javid said the UK would prioritise trade deals with EU countries. A potential trade dispute with the US also makes the front of the Times, which says that Boris Johnson is committed to introducing a tech tax on companies such as Facebook and Google. In the Express, the Prime Minister is said to have hinted that the next budget will include tax cuts for millions of workers. And the Star says the game of bingo is being ruined by political correctness, with objections to the phrase two fat ladies. Why is that funny? I don't know.
It is funny.
Is it?
This is the snowflakes again.
Okay.
Is it
You're not a fan.
Is it 22? Too fat lady. Was it?
Well, you play bingo, I don't.
88, someone said.
Idiot.
Yeah, I think
It's a shame.
Right.
Yeah.
What's 22 then? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Two little ducks.
66.
Two little ducks, 22.
66, clickety click.
Number one, Kelly's eye.
That's right.
Yeah. Certainly that. Anyway.
Yeah.
No, it's.
I hope you've got the little numbers on your... anyway,
I like the way,
watching at home.
but I like
right.
the way you did the it's actually, just in case we couldn't get our heads round what you were saying.
Shall we move on? To World War Flu, in fact, is how the Sun puts the 10,000 infected, they say, by snake bug. It's not been confirmed yet which animal this virus is likely to have jumped from.
Yeah, I don't know
Found
why
in a
they're calling
food
it a
market, obviously in Wuhan.
No, others think it may be live chickens. In this place in China, you buy live chickens, you take them home, so it proves your meat is fresh. You do it that way. But yeah, don't panic. Britain's biggest selling paper there, World War Flu fears deadly global virus, maybe in UK. It's very possible. Great movements of people. That happens. That's the world we live in now, and it is kind of frightening. It took quite an effort to stop SARS, quite an effort, actually, Ebola too, in Africa, and presumably this too. If there was a response, will require.
I mean, there were doom and gloom predictions that Ebola was going to wipe out millions, hundreds of thousands of people, and it didn't.
No, but that's because there is a response. If it's left unchecked, it may spread.
But I don't think there are direct flights from this town to Britain, are there?
Well, there must be, because why else have they got a separate area in Heathrow? 3 a week, I'm being told. So,
it's 3 a week?
There are. And it's a really enormous city. It's the sixth populous in China.
I know.
So, I mean, there's a lot of people, and effectively now it's being closed off. And 2 a.m. UK time, 10 a.m. local time is when people are being told they can't travel. Chinese New Year, obviously, on Saturday.
I went to China during the SARS period, not the area where it really was, and it is quite frightening when you go in and everyone's got masks on, or you're on a bus and they come on the bus in their masks and all their gear, and they have a little device coming to test your temperature. It's very unnerving.
You do wonder what these masks are supposed to do. I mean, it's a placebo, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, I think it does probably protect some, but the difficulty is it's cold and flu season.
Yeah.
How do you identify people who've got it? 500 presented so far, which means that many thousands more actually are infected.
But look, you can have your mask here, but you hold your little device up, somebody sneezes on you, when you take your mask off, you're going to inhale it. I suppose you take some precautions, whatever you can. But
and most viruses, you're infectious before you present with symptoms.
You don't
whether
know,
actually
that's
this
right.
temperature check makes any difference, which it did with Ebola, because Ebola you did not present,
But it's also true at the same time, you're more likely to be run over crossing the road tomorrow than be struck down
and
by
influenza kills people every year, doesn't it, as well?
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
You were right about Terry Jones. Naked in the piano.
Naked, yeah. We'll come to Terry Jones a bit later on, I think.
Later,
Well,
I
just
was
leave the
questioning
naked man alone.
Anna
we're discussing. Just leave that naked
Anna was very
man
keen to
alone.
talk about Terry Jones and
Yes, and actually the Sun is saying that experts say it may have initially spread from snakes, which is interesting, and certainly I don't think that has been confirmed. The World Health Organization Met today has not yet declared this a
I
global
thought
health
it
emergency.
was food stuff they bought.
Yeah, but we often maybe give it to chickens from snakes, or maybe they're just competing.
And it can jump from species. Isn't that the thought?
Yes, indeed so.
But you often don't know until it's too late where it comes from.
Indeed. Shall we move on? The fascinating story of Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, great story. The Guardian today, doing it tomorrow. We saw the Telegraph leading. I think it'll be in every paper. This is absolutely the allegation that the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, who will be the ruler unless something happens, in a WhatsApp message to Jeff Bezos, who Amazon, of course, world's richest person. Sometimes prices go up and down, and employed Jamal Khashoggi, who was subsequently murdered, butchered. Yeah, was subsequently butchered by the Saudis in their embassy in Turkey. He actually got this virus because a lot of his pictures were leaked. These are personal pictures, and remember there was that he was kind of really being blackmailed over.
Well, there was a hatchet
nude
job
pictures,
in one of the newspapers. They said at the time they thought was caused by the Saudis.
A US magazine,
Yeah.
and then he published a naked picture of himself to stop other people, showing his affair and so on. But it's absolutely astonishing. But this man,
But he's got the means, hasn't he, to get this properly investigated?
yeah.
You don't mess with people who've got the funds to look into
He's picked a fight with the wrong guy.
Yeah, well, he had the call for the UN to do it. The UN hasn't got the money, but Mohammed bin Salman seems to be overstretching himself. Of course, I've no doubt he's completely innocent yet again, just as he was over.
But the suggestion
Jamal
is that
Khashoggi.
other journalists may have suffered the same fate, or dissidents,
Yeah.
and it's seriously neutered the criticism of Saudi Arabia.
And the Israeli company that's it's spyware said to have been used denies it, says it wasn't. But if they sell it, you can't really control how it is used. But we're all susceptible to this because, of course, if you're getting certainly as journalists, you get a lot of texts and emails from people you don't know. You've got to open them. But you would have thought if you got it from the Saudi crown prince and you're Jeff Bezos,
it's pretty
you would.
reliable.
Yeah.
But it was the irony, of course, is this that this crown prince was supposed to be the liberal, the radical. He's allowing women to drive cars, so he's supposed to be. The winds of change sweeping through the kingdom. He's just as bad a despot as as the rest of his family.
It raises serious questions. The
Really
whole episode
serious.
from Jamal Khashoggi
Yes.
right through to this, cover up or attempt to control what somebody's saying.
absolutely.
Look, it's an evil regime in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Let's move on, shall we? Let's see what the next paper is. There we go. Lisa Nandy, Blair stuck to the Thatcher legacy. They're all trying to position themselves, aren't they?
Yeah,
Can I just say, I think this is a bit tough, actually, because, I mean, Blair, for God's sake, this man won 3 general elections, the most successful Prime Minister of the 20th century for Labour, and he brought in the minimum wage, he brought in peace in Northern Ireland, independence of the Bank of England.
Actually, this is the Metro coverage. Her actual argument is more sophisticated than that, and she says she doesn't want to trash New Labour and hails investing in health and education and minimum wage, but she's saying the economic framework was inherited from Thatcher, and that is true in many ways. Labour increased spending, increased regulation, but it didn't fundamentally challenge the way markets operate. And for instance, in the health service, it took a Tory idea, the private finance initiative, and expanded it, and as a result now...
But I don't understand why we're surprised by this. It followed 18 years of Tory government.
Yeah, and Labour in 97 it achieved very much. It could have, I believe it could have achieved more, but it was frightened of losing in 97. And when they came in, there was somewhat...
With a landslide.
She will not like, I think, the way it's presented, because her argument... It's that Chinese
But
flu, isn't it?
can I just say one?
I'm calling from him.
While Kevin's about to spread this lethal disease to you and me, Anna, what I would say, I mean, I would perceive this as somebody who I think I voted for Blair in 97, might have done, can't remember. But I think the Labour Party...
Tory boy voted for Tory.
I did not vote for John Major in 1997.
So you voted for Tony Blair, or Tory Blair, as you might have
I
called
actually think
him.
I voted Green. I couldn't bring myself to vote Labour.
You voted Green.
But
you're the most unlikely Green ever.
What I'm saying is, I would have thought if Labour want to have a realistic chance of getting back into government, they've got to move back into that centre ground which Blair occupied.
So they need to understand that.
I think so, and I think they're in denial about why they lost.
Well, they've also got to own the achievements of that Blair Brown
And not-
era,
and
as well as admitting
But all you hear
the
Kevin, is
failures.
criticism of it.
I agree, but she was far more nuanced, and she was praising achievements as well as saying we needed a bigger break.
So what about Rebecca Long-Bailey had to say, which was once again defending the policy, but saying it was too much about handout and not enough about aspiration? Has she, understood that actually there were fundamental issues beyond Jeremy Corbyn?
No.
To the election.
Well, she doesn't admit the Jeremy Corbyn issue. She gave an interview to Daily Mirror, my colleague Pippa Crewe, and it was in Jeremy Corbyn's office, or the annex material.
Extraordinary.
Well, of course it was. Why would she do it in her own office? When you're saying I'm not the continuity Corbyn candidate, but you give him 10 out of 10, and then you want the interview
Really?
in his office or his next part of his office.
I think she's decided that if she continues to embrace Corbyn, that's going to win
how
the
she'll win.
leadership. That's how she's going to do it. It's a very cynical way, because if they carry on with the Corbyn policies, they're going to lose
There's
again
something cynical
massively.
about everybody's position in the leadership election.
Let's do the next story, which is really significant, but kind of buried, because we've kind of...
Yes,
I can't
I
even
know.
remember the trauma of Theresa May's time in office.
Don't
and
want
trying
to.
get
Can't
the
bear to think
withdrawal
about
bill
it.
over the line, which it now is, which is a really amazing moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, amazing is one way of putting it, but I think it's true actually. It's kind of with a whimper rather than a banger or bong, which doesn't quite feel right. But I think it's because you saw the election result, and there was a parliamentary mandate for him to do it. Then he got that. He's got an 80-seat majority. He got it over the line, and of course, 11 p.m. next Friday, you can either cheer or jeer.
The Lords rattled the cage. They inflicted 4 or 5 defeats. I can't remember. But the Commons overturned them, and the Lords backed down straight away. So the ping pong ended very quickly.
But Brexit is over the bill. It's the divorce bill.
Yes.
We've now got to go into the phase. Of course, he doesn't want to talk about it, about living together and who gets custody of the trade.
But even the devotees
very difficult.
of the second referendum and arch Remainers like Lord Adonis on the Labour side have
That was gone for now.
It's done.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, 20 years' time, maybe they'll come back and hope.
But he won't get Brexit done when we're still in the single market and we're still in the customs union till the end of the year at least. And he has to go on the 600 billion trade deal.
But Anna's right. You just imagine the horrific defeat for Theresa May, and if let's just think, if that woman who led the Liberal Democrats so badly, Jo Swinson, hadn't agreed to the timing, hadn't agreed to that general election, Boris Johnson would still be having his bill going backwards and forwards and being defeated, and it would still be a minority government. She has so much to
It was
answer.
the turkey who voted for Christmas, including when she
Well,
lost
we've
her
almost
I think Boris Johnson should give her a
lost its
peerage.
politics, haven't we?
He should give her a peerage.
Well, the Lib Dems might
just
get
much
a
more.
peerage or two in the list.
I think
30 new peers.
I think she's had enough of politics.
Okay.
But politics has had
Once had
enough of
enough
her.
of her, voters didn't like her.
Yeah, lots more running into week on Friday, obviously, as well.
I'm going to so many parties that night.
Are you?
Yeah.
Really?
Get you.
Yeah.
Really? What, the Greens, Labour, the Lib Dems, Tories, SNP,
Mr. Bride,
squeezing in Brexit
I think
Party,
you'll find your invitation.
Sinn Féin may not be
Shall we send the camera?
Your invitation is lost in the
Right,
post,
don't
mate.
forget,
Not
Kate Burney's
sure.
Morning. She will have live updates from our Asia correspondent in Wuhan on the spread of the coronavirus in China. And from Davos, she'll be joined by the first Vice President of the European Commission, Frans Timmermans, discussing Europe's green initiatives, one for you, Andrew, and the UK's imminent departure from the bloc. That is Kate Burley at Breakfast Live from 7 a.m. Well, still to come, the passing of Python star Terry Jones, our own pair of very naughty boys, will pay tribute after the break.
Hang on, he's every word.
You're watching the press preview with me this evening, Andrew Pearce and Kevin Maguire. Welcome back to both of you. The obligatory royal slot. Kate obviously has been very busy, a whirlwind 24 hours.
It's incredible, this, because the business of being royal the firm is back in business. Prince Charles has made a keynote speech today in Davos. He met Greta Thunberg, who apparently was quite nice to him. She actually smiled for a change. He's then flown on to Israel for a very important diplomatic visit, a very senior trip for him. And there's Kate Middleton. She's at a prison. And then, flipping Meghan Markle again. She's released photographs at the animal sanctuary in North London, where she's the patron. It's where my 2 cats came from, actually.
Really?
And instantly, people looked like, was she trying to upstage Kate? Well, the thing is, she probably didn't know what was happening with Kate because she's out of the firm.
But it is unusual that Meghan Markle, 2 weeks after she's been to this sanctuary, they're releasing on, was it Sussex Royal? Is it Sussex Royal or Sussex's Royal? Anyway, their new jazzy website.
Sussex Royal, stroke not so royal.
Which the Garter, the man in charge of all these things, says it shouldn't happen. I wonder how long that's going to last.
When everyone knows she's in Canada anyway, and
it's a bit stupid,
they're withdrawing,
really.
but it is, you can kind of see the conflict. I'm not sure what good it does. Princess of jails. What's she done? Has she got to cheer up the inmates and the staff? Just get in the way.
Cheer them up. They probably cheer them up.
Are they just
They'd love to see her.
Are they just checking it out for Prince Andrew in case anything goes
Kevin,
too wrong with the
I
investigation?
think people would love people like me.
He's legal.
And of course-
Allegedly.
Denies
And of
all
course,
allegations.
and of course, and who also pops up? Meghan Markle's father, Thomas, twisting the knife yet again, saying he thinks the next time his daughter sees him is when he's being lowered into his grave.
This is where it is. You know, the family is just tearing itself apart, and that must add to her pain. However much some people claim race is involved or the papers are involved, her family is falling apart.
Most people speak to their parents.
Let's
Yeah.
move on to the front of your paper, who's chosen to go on. Terry Jones fought dementia with laughs to the end, and of course he went to get a BAFTA Special Award, didn't he? And couldn't
Yeah.
really speak. He couldn't
No.
speak or read towards the end.
And he-
But what an
yeah.
amazing amount of achievement he had.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
One of the funniest men we ever had.
He might have been the Messiah. He might be. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. When he played, Brian's mother in The Life of Brian, which he produced. But I think of Mr. Creosote and the wafer thin mint. It's a bit like having lunch with him, watching him getting bigger and bigger. But he was absolutely fantastic. And it's kind of, if you grew up with these people, which
Yeah.
just did, it's really sad when you see them now.
Yeah.
But actually, that photograph with Michael Palin, who we met at Oxford, so that's how long they were together. He looks great, actually, but it was only when he tried to speak you knew that he was struggling. And dementia is such a cruel, evil, terrible disease. But if what his wife's telling us is true, he was smiling to the end.
You won't remember because isn't it your 25th anniversary?
Yes.
Oh, isn't it?
You must have
I know
started
I don't
here.
get old enough.
You must have been in child labour.
Yeah, you must have. You're 14. You must have been an embryo or a
Yes.
twinkle in your
Right.
mum and dad's
I left
eyes.
school
when
at
you started.
12.
But yeah. Luxury. All right.
I don't know what 25 is in Daily Starland. Two fat ladies killed by the snowflakes. We talked about it before. We're not allowed to say 88. 88 is it? Anyway, we'll find out what 25 is.
But you know, the biggest snowflake of all is the Daily Star, which seems to take offence at any change anywhere
Right,
in the world.
And a lovely
That's
picture of
not
the
bad.
python.
Yeah, that's a great
Terry Jones
picture
there.
of him.
We'll see you at 11:30. Thank you very
Yes.
much indeed.
Happy
Okay.
anniversary.
Thank you.
Yeah,